I have never played a roguelike in my life before, because the idea of running around in a circle and dying time and time again did not seem as appealing to me as a linear campaign where you progress naturally. In fact, Niflheim was my least favorite part of God of War 2018, my favorite game of all time. I did not find running around a green, brownish, misty realm with random encounters just to open some rifts and get a trophy nearly as engaging as literally anything else in this game. Basically, Sisyphus simulators were never something for me. And then these two sexy boys come out and say, "Hell nah, bitch! Ragnarok roguelike DLC in 5 days, motherfucker, and it's free!" So I'm like, okay, I mean, I'll check it out, I guess. It's probably just some rooms and some Greek stuff for nostalgia. And oh my god! But you already knew that. You already know that this free DLC was so much more than I expected. You knew I loved the story, the Greek stuff, and the lore, but what even I didn't expect is how personal Valhalla would be to me. Not as a God of War fan, but as a God of War player, a God of War gamer, if you will. In God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, Kratos sets off on an extremely personal, introspective journey within the mysterious, eponymous part of Asgard. The slogan of this place is "Master Thyself." Kratos needs to face his past and present so that he can create the future that he wants, but doesn't know he is ready for yet. All that is done naturally in the only way Kratos knows how, by killing a bunch of things, very introspectively. But as I made my few first laps through Valhalla, I realized something. Just as Kratos was facing his deepest, most personal challenges, so was I, because Valhalla made me face the biggest truth and the biggest challenge. To beat this game, to master Valhalla, you have to do well. There is a reason why I am a lore and narrative channel, and there is a reason why I never post any gameplay here. The simple truth is, I'm just not that good at God of War. I'm definitely better after hundreds of hours of playtime. My fight with Gna went much smoother than the one with Sigrun, but I still rock at odd give me balance without really engaging with the combat system that I actually really love. With Valhalla, I had no such option. The entire point of this game is to be good, because if you're not, you die and you have to start over. And that's scary and aggravating if you're not that good, especially if you're on normal. So I went through it a few times, struggled, not progressing that much. It didn't help that this DLC came out during finals week and I had very little time to play, so I wanted to get to the end, but I wasn't progressing much. Meanwhile, all my colleagues already got to the end, raving about how amazing it is. The usual suspects already started posting ending spoilers on YouTube, and those things did not help. And dying to Tyr with half a bar left did not help either. Unlike fighting a Valkyrie that you can throw yourself at endlessly until you win, you have to get back to Tyr and do well enough to have enough health and rage to live through it. This makes Valhalla, at least in the early stages, a big, massive no damage challenge. Or I guess that's every roguelike. Again, I've never played any before. Your heart is pumping the entire time, trying to do as well as possible to hopefully make it to the end, and it's not fun when you die. But then, something clicked. Being a roguelike, dying time and time again is the point after all. And Santa Monica knew this, so after every attempt, we hear how well we did, listening to encouraging words to try again by the Shield Maidens. Which is ironic because they wiped the floor with Kratos time and time again back in 2018, but throughout the game, a word came up. Progress. Mastering myself. If Kratos wasn't a personal journey, why can't I be? Kratos needs to master Valhalla, so I should as well. I've always been a little upset that I'm not that good at this game's combat, my favorite in the series, so when's the time to get better if not now? And so, me and Kratos went on this journey together. I wanted to see what will happen to Kratos at the end, to master himself, but he wouldn't be able to do it unless I did it, but also I wanted to get better and beat it for me, to prove to myself that I can get better. That is something I've disliked about myself for a while. This is my favorite franchise ever. I have a dedicated channel to it, but I'm not that good at it. And this was a challenge to finally change that. Me and Kratos were in this together, both going through a process, improving and mastering ourselves. I've never felt such synergy between player and character ever before when playing a video game. And in the end, I did get better. I finally started paying attention to the arrow prompters, trying to position myself properly. I actually read the bestiary and found out that you can explode the big burpy bitches belching breath with the blades, which I did not know before. Of course, another thing Valhalla forces you to do is utilize the different aspects of Ragnarok's combat system. One thing I never did in the original game is experiment. Once I got the Dauntless shield, I practically never tried any other one. Once I got certain runics, I never switched. I didn't have a choice in Valhalla. What you get is what you use, and you always have to be aware of what perks and ability you get to succeed. It also means that you have to play around with shields and rages, which I finally did, and yes, that including admitting to myself that I do need to use the Stonewall once in a while. I died and died, but I always saw what I can do better next time. Where I should run in the maze first, learning Tyr's new patterns, what other rage to use, buying upgrades. I started completing encounters without taking any damage, even if they were the starting ones, which is not something I've ever achieved before. At one point I learned that I was playing on a difficulty above normal, which explained a lot, but I didn't want to go down at that point. Every time I felt like lowering, I just looked at this image of disappointed co-director Mihir Sheth and pressed on. Until I actually did lower it because I really want to get to the end. But I did beat Tyr on the first try after doing that. I think that's a decent achievement, and I did switch back up right after. Valhalla forced me to get better at something that I never was that good at, and I chose to accept. And it was pretty addicting. Ragnarok's combat is already super fun, but the roguelike element of it just makes you want to go again and again. Am I good now? Probably not really. But I'm better. Maybe one day I'll practice enough and build up the courage to try Show Me Mastery or give me God of War, or, scariest of all, live stream me playing without the fear of embarrassing myself. And of course, there is so much more to this DLC. I could talk about how beyond my personal motivation, the story always kept me interested in getting to the end, from the mysterious invitation to preparing Kratos for his new role. I could talk about how genius it is to make the narrative about the roguelike nature of Valhalla, requiring Kratos to try over and over and master himself to ready himself through us. I could talk about how this DLC is 3% plot and 97% character, and how much of a field day Matt Sofa's Rich Goldberg and Orion Walker clearly had getting into the heads of the characters and have Kratos, Mimir, Tyr, and Sigrun just talk about their feelings, thoughts, experiences, and fears, all while injecting their wisdom about the nature of growing as a person and mature relationships. The Norse saga always put character first in its narrative, but this DLC might be the epitome of that approach yet. I could, of course, talk about how well integrated all the Greek stuff is, being very obviously fan servicey, but never feeling like key jingling or trying to nostalgia bait for the sake of it, instead making physical manifestations of old the final step of Kratos coming full circle and accepting the title of God of War and all the baggage that comes with it, and paying full respect to what came before and even enhancing those stories beyond what was originally intended. I could talk about how Valhalla fixed one of my biggest concerns with Ragnarok, that being real Tyr's return interrupting Kratos' natural development into the new Tyr we have witnessed throughout the two games, when in fact the old God of War is here to prepare and pass the torch to the new. all while having an incredible multi-phase boss battle. I could talk about the once again spectacular visuals and what I can assume to be Raf Grossetti's Lost Hurrah on God of War, or Bear McCreary once again killing it with the music, perfectly incorporating Gerard Marino's legendary classic themes combined with his own, creating a special blend of old and new. I could talk about how egregious it is that this DLC is completely free, and how lucky we are as God of War fans to have a studio that takes such good care of us and continues to give us greatness, all while being respectful to the legacy of this franchise and this character, and continuing to push the series forward with fresh ideas and stellar narrative. I could talk about all that, but I think you already knew that. At the end of the day, despite all of those things I could talk about, my ultimate takeaway from Valhalla is that the core gameplay loop is extremely fun and addicting, and that it's a roguelike that I enjoy getting better at. And if that's not the biggest compliment I can give a video game, I don't know what is.